So today I will be unboxing and flipping through and doing a little mini pick a card reading with this deck, the Wildwood Tarot. And I got this along with 7 other decks. So if you didn't watch that video where I open the big Amazon boxes and get all the decks out, check that video out and you will see what other decks I'm going to be unboxing and flipping through soon, or already have done, and you can check out all those new decks that I recently got. So I'm gonna go ahead and poke a little hole in this little plastic and then we'll get the box out. Okay, so I'm taking the plastic off now. All right, here comes off the plastic. And so the box is glossy. The box is glossy and shiny. It's not exactly matte or velvety. It has a shiny, plasticky feel. All right, so this deck is by Mark Ryan and John Matthews, and the cards are illustrated by Will Worthington. So I already have another deck which is illustrated by Will Worthington, which is the Celtic Lenormand deck. If you haven't seen that deck already, check it out. And I'm gonna link that deck here. And let's take a look at the back. All right, the Wildwood Tarot will take you on a mystical journey for answers. Look to the heart of a primeval forest where deep ancestral wisdom lies to help make sense of your world today. A beautifully illustrated card deck, the Wildwood Tarot is fun to use as a meditation system, a divinatory oracle, or a source of profound knowledge. The cards draw inspiration from pre-Celtic mythology and a belief system steeped in shamanic mysteries. It's easy to quickly access the magical lore of the Wildwood through descriptions of each card, revealing its historical and mythological background as well as its divinatory meaning. From the Green Man and Woman to the Hooded Man and Blasted Oak, authors Mark Ryan and John Matthews introduce forest archetypes based in the seasonal rhythms and festivals of the ancient year. Step back in time to better understand where your life's path may lead. Included inside 78 full-color, spectacularly illustrated Wildwood Tarot cards, 160-page Wildwood Tarot guidebook. All right, so this deck is by Sterling Ethos, and the reason I got this deck was because I was watching this deck collection video by Vanessa Samina, and I saw how she mentioned that the guidebook of this deck is very advanced and complicated, almost as if it was created with the intent to confuse the reader. So I kind of found that idea very interesting, that it would be something very challenging and advanced and something totally new, and I would have a lot to learn from the guidebook of this deck. All right, so as I'm trying to open this deck, I noticed that there are no thumb cutouts on the side. So I'm trying to get this to slide off. All right, and it's off. So the inside of it is white and blank, and there isn't really anything written or any kind of art inside. So we're gonna leave this one on the side here, and we will look at the guidebook. The reason why I bought this deck. So I'm not gonna read through the card meanings now, but I'll do that later while we do the mini pick a card reading. So this is what the contents look like. The major arcana and the minor arcana are separately placed, and there is a lot of introductory parts, I believe. Cards and their meanings, introduction by the different creators. All right, and then there are different suits. The suits are different here. There's the suit of bows, suit of vessels, suit of stones, and this one, suit of arrows. Okay, so we'll find out later on which one is supposed to represent what. So I think this vessels is supposed to be cups, and the stones are probably supposed to be pentacles. The bows and arrows, we're gonna have to find out which one's the wand and which one's the sword. Okay, so working with the cards, notes on your readings, resource. Oh wow, there's information on further readings and resources as well, which is great. So I'm kind of curious to get into this book and find out why it was called complicated and advanced. The pictures inside are in black and white, although I don't think this is black. This is some kind of a shade of green. I really like the inside of this book. It's beautiful. And it has that new book smell, which is amazing. I love how big this book is, and it's not like a small tarot or oracle guidebooks. I have this other guidebook here. This is from the Celtic Lenormand. This is the other deck where you will see Will Worthington's artwork. So another reason why I got this deck is to pair it with the Celtic Lenormand so that the artwork would go well together. So I'm going to put the guidebook aside now, and we are going to take a look at the cards. Something I don't like already about this deck is the way that the cards have been placed. I really don't like the separate kind of gaps in a big box, and then the cards come separately, because you have to take them out separately every time, and then again when you put it back you have to arrange it this way. So I'm definitely gonna get a tarot bag made for this deck. I don't think I'm gonna keep this box at all. And another deck that came in a box like this is the Kawaii Tarot. I really like the cards in the guidebook for that deck, but I don't like the box of it because it comes this way. So if you aren't familiar with that deck, you could check that out. I have a video on that as well. So I'm going to keep this box aside now, and we're gonna take a look at these decks. All right, so they come separately. I believe this is the first half because it starts with the Fool card, or card number 0, or in this deck the Wanderer. So I'm going to take the little plastic strip out, and this is the back of it. This is the color. This is the shade of green that the artwork is, and some of the pages are in the guidebook. So I really like the back of it. It's a really good shade of green. I absolutely love the shade of green, and I like this tree as well. All right, and the texture of it is kind of matte. I don't know if this is exactly matte. One deck that is like properly matte is the Moonology deck, and while it feels kind of similar, this feels more velvety and smooth, and this feels a little more rough, like a regular page of paper, and this one feels like velvety and smooth. This is like properly matte. And while this is not exactly a very reflective surface, although you do see a little bit of light reflecting off of it, but this is more of a papery touch than matte velvety touch. So I don't think it will reflect as much as some of the other cards that I have here. For example, the Game of Thrones tarot deck. I have a video on this one as well. If you haven't seen it, you could check it out. So this one is like a really shiny deck. And while this one does reflect a little bit of light, but this is not reflective. So this is relatively more matte as compared to the Game of Thrones deck or some of the other decks I have. All right, so let's look at the cards now. The Wanderer, the Shaman, or the Magician, Seer, or the High Priestess, the Green Woman, or the Empress, the Green Man, or the Emperor, the Ancestor or Hierophant, the Forest Lovers, the Archer. Another thing that I noticed is that the cards don't like slide on top of each other. They don't like slip and slide, because as I'm keeping this one card on top of another, they don't like run away from the pile. So that is something I like. The Stag, the Hooded Man, the Wheel, the Woodward, the Mirror, the Journey, Balance, Guardian, the Blasted Oak, the Pole Star, Moon on Water. Wow, I really like this one. The Sun of Life, the Great Bear, the World Tree, King of Arrows, Kingfisher, Queen of Arrows, Swan. I really like the use of birds and animals in this deck. That is another thing. I don't have a whole lot of decks with birds and animals. I'm gonna start a collection of that, but until I get there, this is gonna be like my first deck that has a lot of birds and animals. Knight of Arrows, Hawk, Page of Arrows, Wren, Ace of Arrows, the Breath of Life. Okay, so the arrows is the wand suit here. Two of Arrows, Injustice. Oh no, I think I was wrong. Okay, I think the arrows is the sword, because this looks like the Three of Swords here. Three of Arrows, Jealousy. Four of Arrows, Rest. Five of Arrows, Frustration. Six of Arrows, Transition. Okay, arrows is definitely swords. Seven of Arrows, Insecurity. Eight of Arrows, Struggle. Nine of Arrows, Dedication. 10 of Arrows, Instruction. King of Bows, Adder. Queen of Bows, Hare. Knight of Bows, Fox. Okay, next half. Okay, Page of Bows, Stoat. Ace of Bows, Spark of Life. 10 of Bows, Decision. Three of Bows, Fulfillment. Four of Bows, Celebration. Okay, bows is definitely wands. Five of Bows, Empowerment. I really like this take on Five of Bows. Okay. Six of Bows, Abundance. Wow, all right. Seven of Bows, Clearance. Eight of Bows, Hearthfire. Nine of Bows, Respect. 10 of Bows, Responsibility or Burden. King of Stones, Wolf. Queen of Stones, Bear. Knight of Stones, Horse. Page of Stones, Lynx. Okay, so what I understand so far is that the only cards that animals and birds on them are the court cards. Ace of Stones, the Foundation of Life. Okay, animals. All right, I guess I was wrong. Two of Stones, Challenge. But it's like you could either have an animal or bird in the minor cards or not. But in the court, in the other minor cards, I mean. But in the court cards, you will definitely have birds and animals. Three of Stones, Creativity. Four of Stones, Protection. I really like this. Usually the Four of Stones card is the one that you would interpret as like a person being a miser, or a person being overprotective, or being a hoarder or greedy. I like this take on the Four of Stones or the Four of Pentacles card. Okay. Five of Stones, endurance. Six of Stones, exploitation. I really like the interpretations on this deck. Seven of Stones, healing. Eight of Stones, skill. And Nine of Stones, tradition. 10 of Stones, home. King of Vessels, heron. Queen of Vessels, salmon. Knight of Vessels, eel. Page of Vessels, otter. Ace of Vessels, the waters of life. Two of Vessels, attraction. Three of Vessels, joy. Four of Vessels, boredom. Five of Vessels, ecstasy. Wow. Six of Vessels, reunion. I would really like to read the interpretations in the guidebook because I see some very different interpretations from what I see usually. Seven of Vessels, mourning. Eight of Vessels, rebirth. Nine of Vessels, generosity. And finally, the 10 of Vessels, happiness. Alright, so now that we are at the end of our cards, we will now shuffle this deck and get some cards out for the mini pick a card reading. Alright, so let's shuffle this deck. It may not be very properly shuffled because they are all very much in they're all in order right now. It's probably gonna need like a few shuffled and a few readings to get like properly shuffled. Until then, I hope this one will do. So there is something that I don't like as I'm shuffling the deck. It is this rough papery sound as these cards like slip against and like glide against each other. It has this very papery texture and it's kind of rough, you know, and it's making that harsh paper rubbing against each other sound. Okay, so since you've already seen which card it is, I'm going to put this back, so I'm not going to give anything away so that your reading is entirely a surprise. Look at these cards falling off. I am not enjoying the sound of this shuffle. I love the cards. I love the art. And I absolutely love the interpretations. And I'm so excited to read the guidebook. I love so many things about this deck. But it is this rough paper brushing against paper sound that is like, it's just, it's kind of ruining the experience for me. So here's our first card. Here's our second card. And here's our third card. All right. So there is already a little bit of a bow to the deck. And while I managed to shuffle all right, I really didn't like the paper rubbing against paper kind of sound. It was very unpleasant. And the cards are very bendy. They bend well. So it shouldn't be a very hard task to like shuffle them however you wish. So the cards are bendy and flexible, but there's that unpleasant paper against paper kind of sound. All right, so I'm gonna get the crystals on top of these cards and then we're gonna look into the guidebook. Okay, so here are the crystals that we're going to use to pick the deck. So this is for the first card. This one is going on the second card, and this one is going on the third card. So close your eyes and take a few deep breaths in and out. Feel free to pause the video for as long as you need to pick your card. When you open your eyes, whichever card, whichever crystal your eyes go to first, your attention goes to first, that is your card, and that is the card that will have the message that you need to hear right now. Alright, so feel free to pause the video here. I am going to go ahead and read the first card now. Alright, so if you pick this crystal, this is your card. The Four of Arrows, Rest, or the Four of Swords. Let's see what the book has to say about this. All right. Rest. Description. On the ground lies a figure with closed eyes. There are 4 arrows driven into the earth. 2 at the head and 2 at the knees. Rising above is a great multicolored butterfly from which rays of energy pour in all directions, bathing the figure in light. Meaning, recharging after a period of stressful activity, work, or emotional trauma. Allow time for the imagination to sojourn into the other world to renew and rejuvenate vitality. Reading points. In the stressful and demanding world, we sometimes forget that rest is a necessary part of a healthy lifestyle, and sleep is a vital part of recuperation and the healing process. This primal mechanism is not just for the well-being of the body, but the mind and imagination as well. Muscles need time to repair and rebuild after strenuous exertion, and the functions of the human psyche need dreams and deep sleep to aid the process, bringing order to what sometimes seems chaos and random machinations of daily life. I don't know this word. Okay, sometimes inspiration and insight can also come through restful meditation and lucid dreaming. Welcome these insights joyfully and take note of what your subconscious is saying to you. One of the first human instincts when confronted with a survival situation in any wild environment is to find or build a shelter to provide protection from the elements and act as a safe place to rest and sleep in safety. Without that basic human security requirement, survivors often become disoriented, make poor decisions, and become unable to physically complete simple and necessary tasks, eventually losing hope. Rest and sleep are vital to restore stamina and vitality. Okay, so I think that was a fairly simple and very mainstream interpretation of this card. Now let's look into the next one. All right. So if you picked this crystal, this is your card. Okay. So you have the Shaman or the Magician card. All right. I'm going to briefly read from the book about this card. Oh. All right. Position on the wheel. The shaman is in the hub of the wheel opposite the seer. He is located in the quarter representing air and embodies aspects of magic, protection, and insight. Wow, there is a lot to this. Wow, I don't know if I'm going to read this whole thing. Meaning, wow, this is so huge. Wow, okay. Lord, I don't know if I'm in a mood to read this whole thing. The view of the universe possessed by these ancient artists was of a place where human elements and skills were intimately interwoven with the qualities and prowess of wild creatures. Human spiritual welfare was dependent on an empathic exchange and respect for the sacred ancestral memory of all life, and meditation of the totem guardians and deities was a prime spiritual function of the shaman. This is a gateway card offering illumination to the labyrinth of the inner universe and the other world of the universal mind. The shaman's unique quality of the ability to enter and commune with all levels of scientific life on the earth. Oh, not scientific. Commune with all levels of sentient life on the earth. It is he who shudders with the wisdom and joy contained in the haunting music of whale song, or whose skin prickles with arousal at the howling of timber wolves. His soul reverberates with the unheard sonorous call of the mountains and smiles with pure joy at the laughter of the waterfall. The shaman applies his magic with intent. He studies the habits of wild creatures. He understands the weather patterns that bring good harvest or dry summers. He knows that healing plants from the deadly fungi can travel through the dark by watching the ritual. Wait, what? He knows that healing plants from the deadly fungi can travel through the dark. Okay, we're talking about plants traveling. All right. To the dark by watching the ritual dance of the magical beings that populate the night sky. He gives thanks to the trees and supply warmth and light, trees that supply warmth and light in the winter, and gathers the young around the fire to tell stories of great adventure and courage to delight and educate those who would listen. Through inner working and mediation, the shaman will bring insight and understanding of your true place in the world. Then practical application and the manifestation of wisdom and willpower into your physical world is possible. This requires dedication, patience, and commitment, but it is the nature of real magic. I am not going to read the rest of this information for this card. Oh God, all right, okay. It's like reading a textbook. Okay, so if you pick this card, this crystal, this is your card. Okay, so we have the world tree or the world. Okay. Please don't be another textbook paragraph. Can't speak. So let's find the world tree. Okay, here it is. Okay. Position on the wheel. The wheel tree sits at the heart of the cycle in the quadrant of fire. It encompasses all the different aspects of the wheel and the human aspects of the major arcana. All right. Description. The great world tree marks the end of the wanderer's journey. All four seasons are represented in the branches of the tree, and at its base is a labyrinth of the kind found in many parts of the world, dating back to prehistoric times. Meaning. As the symbol of the conscious bridge between the living macrocosm and the inner universe of the human psyche, the world tree marks the end of one journey for the wanderer and the beginning of another. The wanderer began the journey around the wheel with an innocent and childlike curiosity, but the subtle growing process experienced on the way has brought inner gifts of wisdom and awareness. The final step is to follow the path through the living maze and enter the heart of the world tree to become one with the wholeness of the universal mind. Nothing is hidden and no misleading or cunning diversions are set to lead the unwary off the path. But to gain access to the tree, one must walk the path and complete the journey. I don't know if this is printed right or what, but I see the word unicursal here. Maybe it's universal, okay. The universal labyrinth has no dead ends or false routes, but leads on one wandering pathway from the entrance inexorably to the center, perhaps symbolizing the passage of the sun or guarding the souls of dead ancestors and spirits in their place of response. It remains a pathway to the core of the mysteries and an easy recognized image of the human journey. Though the doorway at the base of the tree is clearly visible and nothing stops the traveler from directly approaching it. Walking the labyrinth pathway is a ritual requiring patience and insight and enabling contemplation and meditation on the meaning of the journey. What may be found beyond the door is both individual and universal, for encompassed within the branches of the world tree are the 4 seasons of the cycle of life. Though the restful healing of winter to the fertile freshness of spring, the power and joy of summer and the wisdom and maturity of autumn, the cosmic light of universal understanding shines from the heart of the tree, creating a bridge to the source of all consciousness and life. The world tree represents all individual life and all knowledge in one holographic field of consciousness, and paradoxically remains as one entity, whole and complete. This complex concept is not only strange that we think, it is stranger than we can think. How fascinating. I barely understood anything, but I will have to go through this again to really understand the thought behind this interpretation of the card. Alright, wow, so that was a little bit exhausting to read all of that. This book really has a lot of giant, long descriptions and meanings, but that's okay. That is exactly why I got this book, so that I have a lot of content to go through, so that I have a lot of information to learn, so that I can expand my knowledge on how to interpret these cards in different ways. So that was fun, and that was also the end of this unboxing and flip through. So if you are planning to get this deck, if you already have this deck, if you liked this deck, let me know in the comments what exactly you like about this deck and why exactly you are considering getting it. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.